about dyslexia, and dyslexia is a learning difference, I like to call it, that is neurological in origin, which means it stems from something that's going on in our brain, and specifically the left side of our brain, because that's the side that does the language aspects. And what it really is a lack of communication between three areas of our brain that are in charge of language, and they aren't communicating with each other in order to process graphic symbols and allow us to be able to fluently and accurately read. And it is a hereditary learning difference, meaning that if somebody in the family has had a reading or a learning difference, it's a 50-50 chance that somebody in the family tree will be dyslexic. 1 in 5 people have some level of dyslexia, varying from mild to profound.
I would say that some of the weaknesses that come with dyslexia, although we don't like to think about it that way, is that people have trouble sounding out words and knowing that certain letters have certain sounds. And because it's a directionality challenge, things like the letter B and the letter D are trouble for them because they don't know if the line comes first or the circle comes first. So it really is that directionality thing. Another weakness that it can be for people with dyslexia is that they have trouble with directions. So it's easy for them to get lost, even in their own town that they've lived in their whole life. They have trouble with spelling and reading and writing. But if I would rather focus on the strengths, I would say that people with dyslexia are also, once they can embrace what dyslexia is to them, they are really great thinkers. They're very creative. They're very active. They can take a problem and see the solution without having to read the directions for how to put something together, for example. So there's really very many strengths for people with dyslexia. And a cool fact is that NASA recruits people with dyslexia to work for them because of their problem-solving skills.
So dyslexia has affected me both in a positive way and a negative way. The negative way, I would say, is because, during school, elementary, high school, even in college, where I was just trying so hard to prove to people that I was actually good enough and smart enough to be in that classroom or to be in the college or to be in the degree I wanted to be in. But the positive for dyslexia would be where it brought me today. If I found my passion, I always wanted to work with kids and adults with dyslexia and other language-based disabilities, and I always wanted to help them in a way where they didn't have to go through some of the things I went through, and I view that as one of the most positive things that could have ever happened.
Funny story about my dyslexia experience was when I was in 5th grade, I did a report on dyslexia because I wanted to learn more about me and myself and what I have. So I started doing these research, and I did a slideshow to show my whole class, say I have dyslexia. And so after I was all done and they had learned everything they needed to know about dyslexia, they asked me some really weird questions like, do you put on your shirt backwards? I'm like, no. I just see letters backwards. I don't see everything backwards.
What parents can do to help their children with dyslexia, I would say, is early intervention is always best. Getting them support right away. The sooner they have the supports that they need, the better. I also think just being an advocate for their child as well. Getting into schools, sharing, what they know about it, and they know their child best.
My daughter was diagnosed with dyslexia when she was in 1st grade after we noticed letter and number reversals, mirror image writing. We decided to talk to our special ed teacher, who referred us to somebody who specializes in dyslexia. They confirmed Bethany's diagnosis. We took that test back to the school, and they were great about getting modifications and accommodations for Bethany within the classroom. But this process stopped once our school psychologist became involved, He said dyslexia doesn't exist, and there was no reason for Bethany to need these accommodations and modifications. We kind of went along for the next couple years not really knowing what to do. I accidentally came upon an article in an area magazine that discussed Haley's Hope, a dyslexia tutoring center that was opening about an hour and a half from our home. We went there, and they were wonderful. Carrie, the director, came to our school, helped us get those modifications and accommodations in place.
So Haley's Hope is a nonprofit that is dedicated to learning success. And it was started by myself. My son Haley was struggling for about 2.5 years, and without any help or access to services in this area. And so I ventured off to California to get trained, and I knew once Haley started to get our world of words and reading that I needed to help other people in this area. So Haley's Hope opened its doors January of 2011. We started with 2 children. Today, in 2016, we have probably over 170 kids on a weekly basis that we tutor. We are in about 9 different locations, and our first and foremost thing is accurate diagnosis or interventions. Working with that structured literacy program through an Orton Gillingham based teaching method.
Tutors are trained by going through the Susan Barton videos. You must train yourself. You watch a video that goes along with our first level, and you practice, and then Carrie, our founder, will test you through the first level to make sure that you are gesturing properly, that you are saying your vowels properly, so that everything is, there's continuity across the board. And then she will test you out on the first few levels to make sure that everything is aligned. Then we have a few other key players here that will come in every once in a while and just make sure that everything is followed, the proper channels are being used, so that we are not having our students go off on different paths. And you can also become certified by Susan Barton herself, and in that sense then just make sure that you are doing everything properly as the way that she would like the tutoring to be done, and making sure that your students are getting taken care of the best way possible.
Once I started going to Haley's Hope, I didn't really understand most of it because I've never heard of these rules. And after I got the hang of it, I've been cruising through lessons, and now I'm on level 9, almost done with Haley's Hope, and I have been improving in school a lot and getting way better grades and learning more.